We've all heard of a Karen. That one person who thrives on chaos, refuses to listen, and somehow always ends up in the middle of a scene. Whether it's arguing with cops, yelling at store managers, or just causing a ruckus in public, Karens have a special talent for turning small issues into full-blown dramas.
I tell you what your number is. Nobody tells you who their room number is when they're alone. And you're a girl.
And let's be honest, their antics make for some of the most entertaining videos online. Now, let's dive into the story of 42-year-old Melody Jean Carr, a self-proclaimed hot mess who thought she was too good to follow the rules. It all went down on a sunny afternoon at the Country Inn and Suites in Ocala, Florida. Carr, rocking a white bikini and walking her dog, strolled into the hotel pool area like she owned the place. But here's the kicker. She wasn't even a registered guest. When the hotel manager politely asked for her room number, Carr blew up.
Yeah, just like the hotel manager.
Okay.
Guys, can't we ask some questions of people?
She accused the manager of being jealous of her looks and started causing a scene. The manager, fed up with her antics, called the police. And that's when things went from bad to worse. When the hotel manager approached Melody Jean Carr to ask for her room number, things quickly spiraled out of control. Carr, who wasn't even a registered guest, refused to cooperate. Instead, she lashed out, accusing the manager of being rude and jealous of her appearance. She's ugly. I don't know what the reason is. She told me to get out, Carr ranted. Well, I just paid for a room for a couple of nights, but I have $3,000 in my pocket. I'll get out if you want to be a rude hotel manager.
And then she wanted to be rude, I guess because I was swimming and I was in my bikini. She doesn't know what the reason. And she told me, oh, get out. Well, I just paid for a room.
The manager, clearly fed up, had no choice but to call the police. And that's when the real chaos began.
No, you could have said, could you move your car, please?
I'm trying to talk to you.
I'm
trying to talk to you.
When the police arrived, they found Carr at a nearby inn. But instead of calming down, Carr doubled down on her defiance. She argued with the officers, insisting she had the right to stay wherever she wanted. I can stay wherever I want, she snapped. Who are you? You didn't even address yourself. Carr then blamed her white Mustang for breaking down, leaving her stranded at the hotel. But instead of taking responsibility, she turned the blame on the hotel manager, calling her ugly and claiming the whole ordeal was sparked by jealousy. She's a wench because she's ugly and wants to be rude, Carr shouted. The situation escalated as Carr continued to argue, refusing to listen to the officers. She even claimed she worked for the government as if that would somehow excuse her behavior. I work for the government, higher above you guys, she declared, as if that would magically make the police back off.
You don't have to arrest me unless you read my rights. I worked for the government. I know my fucking... Well, then let...
The cops weren't having it. They warned Carr about trespassing and told her to move her car, or it would be towed. Little did they know, Carr was about to take things to a whole new level of crazy. Despite the police's warnings, Melody Jean Carr refused to back down. She kept arguing, insisting she worked for the government and was above the law. I work for the government, higher above you guys, she repeated as if it were some kind of magic phrase that would make her problems disappear. But the cops weren't buying it. They warned her that her car would be towed if she didn't move it. Instead of complying, Carr decided to take matters into her own hands. Literally, in a movie straight out of an action movie, she jumped a fence, got into her white Mustang, and sped off. But her dramatic escape didn't go as planned. Seconds later, she crashed into a parking bumper at a nearby BP gas station, damaging her car even further. Not one to give up, Carr then tried her luck at the BP gas station. She asked the manager if she could park her damaged car there until it was fixed. But when he said no, Carr lost it. She stormed out, yelling and arguing with the police all over again. At this point, it was clear that Carr wasn't just having a bad day. She was spiraling. Her behavior was erratic, her arguments were all over the place, and the cops were running out of patience. But the real kicker? The strong smell of alcohol on her breath. Carr admitted to having a drink earlier in the day, but she insisted she wasn't drunk. The police, however, weren't convinced. They decided to detain her under the Baker Act, a mental health hold for her safety and the safety of others. But even as they cuffed her and put her in the police car, Carr kept running her mouth, claiming she was being treated unfairly. As events developed, the police began to feel there was something even with the case of Melody Jean Carr. She had that alcohol breath smudged on her mouth, and her behavior became more and more abnormal. Facing her, Carr confessed to taking a drink earlier in the day, but she denied vehemently being intoxicated. "I drank, but I'm not even driving," she argued while adding, "My car is broken down. I'm trying to fix it."
Why would I hurt someone? I asked for a drink, and 30 minutes from my car, he said no. I said fine.
But the cops weren't buying her excuses. Slurred speech, aggressive personality, and inability to hold one's cool were definite red flags. They detained her under the Baker Act, a mental health hold, for both her safety and that of others. As they led her handcuffed into the police vehicle, Carr kept arguing about having done nothing illegitimate and that her rights were violated. "I'm not being arrested, am I? You haven't read me my rights," she shouted. "I'm a nurse. I have a child, and you're treating me like this." The officers tried explaining that her behavior was dangerous enough and that she was being carried for her safety and that of others, even in light of that fact. Carr wouldn't allow them, however. She kept on talking over them, giving every impression that she was the one being victimized here. "I didn't disrespect anyone. I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to fix my car," she yelled. The cops had their ears blocked, no matter how loud Carr protested. She had to go into settlement mode just to keep things from getting worse. But even as they drove her to the station, Carr kept running her mouth, claiming that she was being treated unfairly and demanding to know why she was being detained. Even as she was being detained, Melody Jean Carr didn't stop defending herself. She insisted she was a nurse and had a daughter who relied on a therapy dog. "I'm a nurse, and that's my daughter's therapy dog. She has seizures!" Carr shouted, trying to appeal to the officer's sympathy. She also claimed she was having a terrible day after her boyfriend left her and her car broke down. "My car is blown up. My guy left me, and now I'm stuck here," she cried. But what she kept coming back to was her claim that she worked for the government. "I work for the government, higher above you guys," she repeated, as if it would somehow justify her behavior or get her out of trouble. She demanded to know why she was being detained, refusing to accept that her actions had consequences. Meanwhile, the officers were done playing games. They explained to each other, and to anyone listening, why they had to take care in. Her erratic behavior, the strong smell of alcohol on her breath, and her decision to crash her car into a parking bumper at the BP gas station were all red flags. "She was causing a scene, yelling, and getting in my face," one officer said.
I'm pretty sure she said she was drinking by the pool, too. She said, "I finished my drink and I left."
I could smell the alcohol on her breath. She was heading toward disorderly intoxication. The cops emphasized that her behavior was concerning and warranted intervention. They weren't just dealing with a difficult person. They were dealing with someone who was a danger to herself and others. And while Carr kept insisting she was the victim, the officers knew they had made the right call. As the drama unfolded, there was one innocent bystander caught in the crossfire, Carr's dog. With Carr uncooperative and unable to arrange for its care, animal control had to step in. But Carr wasn't having it. "That's my daughter's therapy dog! She has seizures!" she shouted, trying to guilt-trip the officers into letting her keep the dog. Unfortunately for her, the cops weren't swayed. As the video wrapped up, one cop couldn't resist adding a little humor. "You better have hotel footage of that," he quipped, referring to Carr's wild claims and dramatic actions. It was the perfect way to end a chaotic story.
And with that, we've got another classic Karen tale for the books. If you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more of our videos. Until next time, stay out of trouble.
And maybe avoid crashing your Mustang into parking bumpers.